Italian will be facing Czech qualifier Vit Kopriva, and Sinner avoided early clashes with no... Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. The United Nations declares a famine in Gaza, the first in West Asia, warning that 500,000 people face catastrophic hunger due to the blocked food supplies. Israel immediately rejects the report, calling it based on Hamas lies. Taiwan plans to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2030 to strengthen security under constant threat from China. President Lai Ching-te says the move brings Taiwan in line with NATO standards and follows a 2026 budget increase. India's Supreme Court scales back its order to catch and shelter tens of thousands of stray dogs in Delhi after feasibility concerns. Dogs are now to be vaccinated and sterilized before release. And a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket blasts off carrying a U.S. military drone from the Kennedy Space Center. The mission will test next-generation technologies, including laser communications. Hello and welcome. We begin with the growing Russia-India bonhomie against the backdrop of sweeping U.S. tariffs on Indian imports. On Thursday, Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with Russian President Vladimir Putin during his visit to Moscow. Now, before we delve into what the duo discussed, let's first show you how Putin met Jaishankar. The Russian leader could be seen smiling ear to ear upon entering the room. He then made some hand gestures while walking toward the Indian minister, and then the duo shook hands. The talks focused on bilateral ties, Russia's war in Ukraine, and other contemporary global issues of mutual interest. After the meeting, Jaishankar said that he also conveyed the warm greetings from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, earlier, Jaishankar also met with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. The Indian minister underlined India-Russia ties as the steadiest in the world.
That India and Russia have nurtured one of the steadiest relationships between major nations in current times is now widely recognized.
The sentiment was echoed by Lavrov, who described the ties as a special strategic partnership.
We define our relations as a special strategic partnership, and this was defined by our leaders, and I hope that we fully justify these links at the level of links.
Jaishankar was on a 3-day visit to Russia. His meetings were focused on strengthening ties between India and Russia. This mainly includes trade, defense cooperation, and energy. India and Russia are pushing for rupee-ruble trade mechanisms. The talks also set the stage for Putin's visit to India later this year. The warm diplomatic engagement between India and Russia followed Trump's announcement of 50% tariffs on Indian imports. 25% of these tariffs came into effect on the 6th of August, while the remaining will be applicable from the 27th of August. This includes 25% duties for buying oil from Russia. Washington says India's purchase of Russian oil is indirectly funding Moscow's war in Ukraine. According to the White House, these tariffs are a way to pressure Russia by constraining its trade partners. The US is lecturing India on purchasing oil from Russia, but the West is yet to cut its trade ties with Russia. Jaishankar exposed the West's hypocrisy in Moscow. He said that India is not the biggest purchaser of Russian oil. China is. But the Trump administration has halted its tariffs on Chinese imports. He also highlighted the European Union's LNG imports from Russia.
We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not the country which has the biggest trade surge with Russia after 2022. I think there are some countries to the south. We are a country where actually the Americans said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy markets, including buying oil from Russia.
Trump's aggressive trade policies pose a major challenge to the growing India-Russia ties. But the message from Jaishankar's visit seems clear. India's foreign policy will be chalked out in New Delhi, not DC. Now, when it comes to oil strategy, India is making waves on the global stage. And the most observant is the United States of America. Certainly, they are not happy. As you must know, Trump has imposed 50% tariffs on India over India's trade with Russia. New Delhi has been trying to tackle this in its own way, not through confrontation or launching all-out verbal assaults. But America's rhetoric, on the other hand, is loud. It's blustering, and they have been threatening tariffs, accusing India of profiteering. And today we have yet another example of the same. One of Trump's aides is making headlines. This is Peter Navarro. He is Trump's trade advisor, and he made some statements worth noticing. Navarro's claim is this: India is the laundromat of the Kremlin. Earlier this month, he said India is the Maharaja of tariffs. He also accused India of profiteering. According to him, India is making big money buying cheap Russian oil, refining it, and selling it at a premium worldwide. And through that, India is perpetuating Russia's war in Ukraine. Listen to this.
You start with the fact that India is the Maharaja of tariffs. It's the highest tariffs in the world, charging on American products, and it's got high non-tariff barriers, so we can't get our products in. So we send a lot of dollars overseas to India to buy their products in an unfair trade environment. India then uses American dollars to buy Russian oil. Russia then uses those American dollars that come from India to finance its armaments to kill Ukrainians.
Well, Navarro should have brushed up his facts. He's Trump's trade advisor after all. He should know who is the biggest buyer of Russian oil. Or easier, he should follow S. Jaishankar.
We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not the country which has the biggest trade surge with Russia after 2022. I think there are some countries to the south.
When it comes to Russia, India is clear. It is buying oil to meet domestic needs. It is not the biggest importer. China holds that spot. This is about energy stability, not profiteering. India has an explanation, and it makes sense. When Western countries boycotted Russian oil after the Ukraine invasion, India stepped in to help stabilize global energy markets.
We are a country where actually the Americans said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy markets, including buying oil from Russia. Incidentally, we also buy oil from America, and that amount has been increasing.
As for Trump's tariffs, India stays unflinching. It continues to act in its national interest. Navarro has routinely attacked India. A few days ago, in an opinion piece to the Financial Times, Navarro called India's trade with Russia opportunistic. He says it's corrosive to global efforts to isolate Russia. But here's the thing. India follows international rules carefully. It abides by global sanctions with care. It doesn't support war efforts. It doesn't arm Ukraine or Israel. New Delhi maintains diplomacy with all partners. And the direct proof is China. It has recently moved to ease tensions with Beijing. Both sides agreed to explore border demarcations, keep trade channels open. So, as the US issues loud warnings, India stands calm and focused, showing that national interests come first and strategic autonomy is non-negotiable. And moving on to some updates from Iran. The West Asian nation is flexing its military muscle. The country launched its first solo military drill since its war with Israel in June. Iranian state media released the videos of the drills carried out by the Iranian Navy and regular armed forces. They fired missiles and drones at open water targets in the Indian Ocean. The firing was conducted under the Sustainable Power 1404 drill. While these were Iranian military's first solo drills since the latest Israel war, Tehran has also been carrying out military exercises and drills with its allies as a show of strength. Iran and Russia conducted 3-day joint drills last month in the Caspian Sea, which borders both countries. They were called the Kasarex 2025. These drills were seen as a message to the United States, underlining strengthening cooperation between Iran and Russia. Weeks after Washington joined Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear sites, Iran has sought to bolster its military capabilities since the escalation. Tehran is not only putting its military might on display, it has also backed its action with stern rhetoric. Ahead of the latest military exercise, the Iranian Defense Ministry said any new adventure by the enemy will be faced with a strong slap. The Iranian state media also quoted the defense minister saying, if Israel launches another attack, Iran will deploy its new missiles with greater capabilities. Iran's warning and the military drills followed a 12-day-long war in June. Israel launched a bombing campaign on its arch-rival. The attacks came in the middle of Israel's raging war with Hamas in Gaza. In response, Iran also fired its missiles and drones. However, the Israeli offensive killed senior military commanders, nuclear scientists, and hundreds of others. Now, Israel's ally, the United States, also joined the war briefly. It struck Iranian nuclear facilities, and the war ended with a ceasefire on the 24th of June. Since then, Tehran has suspended nuclear program negotiations with Washington. Iran denies ambition to develop a nuclear weapon. However, it refused to budge against US President Donald Trump's threats. Trump had warned of renewed strikes on Iran if it did not return to the table for talks. Iranian leadership accused the West of using demands on the nuclear program as an excuse to confront Iran.
What they present as nuclear, enrichment and human rights are just excuses. The real story is something else. And the Iranian nation, God willing, will not abandon their religion and knowledge.
Iran has been on alert mode since the war halted. Time and again, its leadership has asserted that the country is prepared for any confrontation. So these drills seem to be a direct message from Tehran to its rivals. And the world's top artificial intelligence firms are looking east, and the new frontier appears to be India. it is becoming the next big battleground. AI firms are circling around India like it's the new hottest startup. The country's young population, its AI usage data, its ambitious and world-class tech talent, all of it is pulling in tech bosses. And a new player has just showed up. This is an application probably on every student's phone. People go to it for dating advice. It generates holiday plans, can do mammoth tasks that consume hours, or better still, it can pretend like it's your friend. It's a startup that shook the world. If you haven't guessed it yet, it's ChatGPT. Its maker, OpenAI, has decided to plant its flag in India. And the ground zero is New Delhi. OpenAI will open its first office in the capital by the year end. And it has started hiring a local team. Here's what CEO Sam Altman has to say. Now, India has all the ingredients to become a global AI leader, a world-class developer ecosystem, and a strong government support. All of this makes India a top destination for Altman. ChatGPT has massive users here. Study help, office work, coding, or just casual chats from students to professionals in big offices. The numbers are marvelous. Now, in terms of users, India is ChatGPT's second largest market. It sits just behind the US. And given the growth, it's not far from overtaking it. This explains why Altman wants to be here. In April, this is what he tweeted. We love to see the explosion of creativity. India is outpacing the world. But here's the thing. Sam Altman's story with India is not something new. In 2023, he was on a visit to India, and his view was starkly different back then. He said that India could struggle to build a ChatGPT-like model, and cut to 2025, the same Altman is changing his tune. He's openly praising India's talent pool now, wants to play a role in the Indian market. After all, it's young, it's diverse, and it is still open for disruption. An OpenAI office here could mean a lot. Closer ties with homegrown developers, research hubs, partnership with entrepreneurs, but there's a challenge too. Google's Gemini is pushing hard in India. So is AI startup Perplexity. It had made premium features free to win users. And India is too pushing for AI that is built in India for India. New local competitors are taking shape. Sarvam AI. It's an Indian artificial intelligence startup. It has raised over $40 million, and it wants to make a similar generative AI application. Their focus is India-specific, tailored for India's languages and for local content. Now this brings us to the final question. Can OpenAI win in India? The answer to that is, we'll have to see. But here's what is clear. From being doubtful to India's AI ambitions, to now seeking a place in the country's revolution, Sam Altman has come full circle. And that's all we have on the show for you today. We will see you again at the same time on Monday. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT.